Hello, everybody, and welcome to the elementary K-4 and 5 elementary platform that we're going to begin today during this week, during our work days, to get us started for the new school year. Today, we're going to do a few things as housekeeping, and then we'll move into what we're doing today. Today, you'll have your attendance link inside the chat. Today's training will be recorded and will be available for you to review. And at the end of today's session, we'll be going through a Google form for questions. When you're inside the chat today, go ahead and click on the attendance link to go ahead and fill that out so that it's completed for today's session. I'll give you a few minutes before we get started. As you're finishing up today's attendance, I will go ahead and give today's purpose. So initially, training for Canvas Elementary was going to start at K2 because of the crossover between Google Classroom to Canvas. However, as Canvas developed the elementary platform, the platform was designed for K4. In our school system, we added 5th grade at some schools based on principal input, and we're excited to have you here today. If in fact you are part of grades 3, 5, and you were on the call today, most of today's session will be a review. So if you would like to stay, you can, and if not, we hope to see you tomorrow. Now, today, we're going to be walking through Canvas and Rapid Identity. We're going to show you what the new elementary platform will look like. We're going to go ahead and go through the toolbar on the left. We're going to show you how to create a manual course and getting a template through Commons. And then lastly, we'll talk about the teacher Sandbox. Now keep in mind that this is a YouTube live stream and it is recorded and will be available for you. Now that we've completed attendance, I'm going to let you know who you're with today. Today we have Stephanie Burton, Cole Wilkins, and myself, Lisa Thulman. We look forward to training today as we begin. I'll turn it over to Stephanie.
Good morning. Cole is going to actually provide the link for our digital teaching and learning YouTube channel. If you are K2 or new to Public Schools of Robeson County, we would like for you to please subscribe. All of our YouTube live streams are in there in our channel, and you can watch those. There's very few changes that have taken place since last year, but if you notice that something has been updated, it's because it occurred between April of last year and where we currently are now. So there'll be a little bit of editing, but please subscribe to that channel because you're going to need that whenever you start going in and searching for all of this. We do know that it is the first day of school back for you guys. We are super excited to have you all back. It's kind of like, for us, like you getting your students next week because you guys are a part of our everyday decisions that we make along with your principals and the students. So we try to take care of all stakeholders. So we are super excited to have you back and in person. So with that being said, we're going to get started with what we have prepared for today. And with us stating that today is the first day, we do know that you're overwhelmed. You probably have a faculty meeting because we remember being there at this during this time in the past. So we're actually going to try to keep it short today, and kind of go a little bit where we were looking at our schedule for Tuesday through Friday. We do know that Thursday is open house, virtual open house for our schools. We still will do our sessions at 10:30. If you are able to make it, great. If you are not, and even for the rest of the days, just know, like Lisa said, it is a recording, and we are not pressuring you to be live with it. Just know that you do have to look at the recordings to understand some of the new features that are going on for our elementary. So let's talk about for our K2 people, we know that you're transitioning from Google Classroom over to Canvas. And what makes this excellent for you guys is you have kind of a clean slate in your mind about Canvas. And Canvas decided last year, with how the navigation buttons were for our little people, that they would create an elementary for Canvas, which is technically minimizing the navigation for our little people. And as they receive feedback across the state of teachers who have already started, it is beneficial for our primary and our elementary students. So you're going to love this, especially if you were a 3-5 last year, and with your navigation being easier with this transition. So let's get started with logging into Rapid Identity. The only people who should not know what we are talking about are the ones who are probably new, fresh to the district. If you've taught in another district in North Carolina, you've probably logged into Rapid Identity. But as for our previous teachers, you should be familiar with at least logging in with your UID number and your password. And what happens here is this is a repository for housing all of our apps. And you'll notice here that we've had some additions. Your Amplify is there. Your Clever is there. And this is where you will go to do your attendance. You have your Power Teacher here in this area. And you also have your SchoolNet. This is where we do assessments. Today we are focusing on the red canvas. You'll notice beside of the red canvas, you have a blue canvas. We do not want to go into the blue canvas when we're talking about PSRC's instance. What does that mean? There are two instances there. The red is for us. You see where it says LEA 780, and then you see Canvas NCDPI. We do have some people who accidentally click in there and it just looks so different to them. That's stuff that DPI has. So if something looks like it's not normal compared to what you're usually seeing, just make sure you're in the right instance, because it is the red one that we're always selecting. And you can put a heart up there for that to be one of your favorites, so it's listed there and you see that. So once you get into Canvas, we're going to open it up. So when we click there, you're actually going to go onto the sidebar. And looks like Crystal is on the call. We are using you. Hope you do not mind. We had to use an elementary person, so we looked you up so that what you guys see on your side is exactly what we see on our side. So you'll see we're going to talk about what's called the side toolbar on the left-hand side. So let's talk about those areas for a second. If you are a 3-5 person, you should already know that this looks different than what you're used to with your dashboard previously. We have the PSRC logo in the upper left-hand corner. Underneath that, we have the account area. This is where you'll learn to share things. There'll be other things inside of there that we may ask you to work on in your settings. There's a high contrast there. If you earn any badges, they'll be there. But sometimes in your settings, we ask you to go into this area. So if we actually ask you to go into your account, this is where you will go to locate that. Now, underneath your account, you have a little house. For my 3-5 people, you're used to seeing the actual dashboard. That term would be dashboard there. But for the elementary for Canvas, once we transition that over for you, it will actually be homeroom. So what will take place there is a transition from the word dashboard to homeroom, and there's a little house there. Underneath that, we'll come back to that screen in a little bit in more depth, because that's where we're going to stay for most of our trainings. So underneath that, you have your subjects. Now, for my 3-5 people, you are used to this term being courses. But for elementary, they no longer use courses. They change the word to subjects, because what happens with the elementary for Canvas is all of those subjects will go into your homeroom. And we'll talk about how to transition that probably tomorrow. But underneath there, here's what's important. You see the difference for your subjects. You see published subjects, which are the ones that whomever is enrolled in those courses can actually see. And for this actual teacher, this is courses that they are actually in. So they are a student inside of there. Underneath there, you see unpublished subjects. So what does that technically mean? Those are subjects that have not been published yet for anybody to see who is inside of there, like your students. You'll notice that underneath several of those, you see 2021, 2022, and then the name of the school and the year. What that means is that is a Power School course. So anytime we say SIS course or Power School, this is what we're relating to, because SIS is our Student Information System. So what takes place there is, once your data manager creates your schedule for you, then Canvas connects with PowerSchool and PowerSchool pushes those courses into Canvas for you as well as your teachers. And let me say this, I do see something about people not having a rapid identity, a UID number yet. That is related, that's mostly for our new people. If HR is not finished with your documentation to push that out, we'll have to wait on them until that is received. But you can keep checking with them as well as your data manager to receive that UID number, okay? And Heather, if you'll continue to help Morgan so she can see those things while it's taking place, and as well as the other school sites. If you have a new person there, please help them and let them see these transitions and what your screen actually looks like, because they do not have access to some things yet. I know last week we did a beginning teacher training, and there were several of them that still did not have their accounts yet. Okay. And Heather and Jessica, I see you're naming some people here. If you could go in and help them if they don't have the attendance, access to the attendance, if you could try to help them sign in, and it may be you that signs in, and you may just have to put like some zeros there for the UID. Was that required? Just put some zeros in there to fill that in for the number. We'll work on editing all that. We don't want to make their life any harder and stressful than what it probably is at this point. So anything we can do, just let us know. All right, so let's continue here. All right, as we move down underneath unpublished subjects, if you don't listen to anything I say today, I want you to listen to this part. Underneath unpublished subjects, sometimes when an update occurs, you're going to come to your homeroom and you may not see some things listed there. If you do not see the subjects listed there, or possibly your homeroom, you need to always go to this area, which is the little book, and it would be your subjects. You're going to scroll down to the bottom underneath unpublished subjects, and you're going to see the word all subjects. Now, what happens here is a person can go in and put stars by what they would like to see in their homeroom area. So that may work for you right now, but eventually when you pull over your subjects, it's probably going to just contain everything in that activity period homeroom. But just be aware, this is where you can go to make sure things are populated on your dashboard. I would leave that alone for now until it comes to a part where that does not work for you as far as seeing things on your actual homeroom tab. Underneath your subjects area, you have the calendar. This is the area where you can add things in to see what may be due, what you may need to push out for those particular classes that you're a part of, okay? Not too many people use that calendar, but it is there in case you want to use it for an agenda or whatever the purpose is underneath there. Now let's talk about underneath the actual calendar itself. You have your inbox area. This is pertaining to receiving some conversations or sending out a message to someone within Canvas. Underneath that area, you have your history if you needed to go back in and take a look at some of the things that might have happened when you were working inside of your Canvas instance. And then you have what looks like a C with an arrow pointing to the right. This will become a familiar place for you. This is called Commons. Now, this is the second thing I want you to make sure that you remember, besides the stars that I talked about. Commons is a repository. When you are first going into Commons, you are going to get this notification. It is saying it is requesting to access your account. You need to authorize. You only have to do that one time. So when we authorize, it does open up the repository. Inside of the repository, since last year, guys, it was at 88,000. So now it's at over 206,000 resources inside of here. Now, what that means is this is a place where you can go and filter for activities for your courses. You can filter for assessments. You can filter for whole units if people have it published for the public to actually utilize. This is also the area where you can share things. You'll learn during this week about Commons and having that capability of sharing your course or sharing other courses inside of here for the people within the district or the public themselves. We will come back to this area in a little bit because our templates are actually inside of here that we designed. And once we start talking about it, we'll come back to Commons here in a second. And remember, this is recorded, so it's probably most important for you at this point to actually follow along and maybe go back to this recording if you need it to create what we're going to ask you to do. Miss Sellers, yes, you can sign in however you want to. We are allowing principals in the training as well, so of course. I would suggest if I were an elementary principal, Miss Sellers, I would be in here. But it's not a requirement, but yes, you guys could really help your teachers if you do know or are familiar with the elementary side. Okay, so let's transition back. We just left Commons, and what we've done here is we're going back to our homeroom tab, which is our little house on the left-hand side. So let's talk about what we need to do in this particular area. In this area, you are going to create what is called Start a New Subject. And what that means is we have given you the capability to create, my 3-5 people would be used to this saying, create a manual course. But what we are actually asking our elementary to do is create a subject, because you no longer have it called a course in the elementary realm of this. This plus button allows you to create a manual course that is not linked to PowerSchool. I will repeat that. It is what we call a sandbox. Now, what do you mean by sandbox? Again, this does not link to PowerSchool in any way. It is your little hub, your little manual subject, or your little sandbox subject for you to house everything. Because what happens at the end of the year is, if Crystal decides that she's not going to build a manual subject, then her PowerSchool courses are pulled back, and she may not be able to access the materials that she needs to build her other courses with, or her other subjects with. So you always want to put everything, my K2 people, you always want to put everything in that manual subject. And remember, my 3-5 people, you're having to reverse your mind and think it is no longer courses, it is called subject. So what do? Which account is this subject to be associated with? If you click that drop down, in that area, you want it to be connected with manually created courses. Okay, manually created courses. You do not want, I guess you could have your enrollments, but there's no reason for you to really have enrollments from your homeroom pushed in here. Why? Because your students are never going to see this course. This is for you. This is where you play around, you mess things up, you fix things, you tweak things, and you get it right in order to import into that correct subject, okay? So we want to call this, let's everybody try to use the same scheme for our manually created subject. So we probably want to start out with our last name. And we want to probably do either an underscore or a space, and you can put your grade level. Crystal is in kindergarten, so we're going to do that. And then you are probably going to put Sandbox at the end. Why? Because this, you need to know that this is where you always go. You need to know this needs to be separated from the other courses that you have there. And we're going to click Create. Okay. We're going to click the Home button at this point. Now, here's where the deep part comes in. We've created the Sandbox course. We have gone back to home. We are technically inside of that course. You see the blue word Jacobs at the top? That is where we are. We are inside the course. So what we did was, for our manually created courses, guys, or subjects, we created a template for elementary and for our upper grades, so that teachers would not have to start with the bare bones of everything being blank inside of here. So our thoughts were, we'll create a template where they can bring some things in to be able to edit and modify it how they want to. So where do I get that template at? We're going to go over, we're going to stay in that course itself. We're going to go over to Commons. Remember, Commons is on the far left-hand toolbar side. We're going to go to the C that has the arrow pointing toward the right. We're going to click on that. And you should look at that and know that we were just there a couple of minutes ago, okay? So once we are inside of Commons, up in the search bar at the top, we are going to type in PSRC. Now you'll notice that there are two in the center that we want to focus on. The one with the expo markers is for those for the 5th grade who did not come over to elementary at some schools through 12th grade. So we're not going to use that one. You're always looking for the elementary template, which is our K-4/5, those principals that chose their 5th grade to be in there. So it has crayons. So there's a difference in the banners. Expos, crayons. We're selecting the one with the crayons. We're going to open that up. So this opens up that actual template. And what we need to do at this point is, since we built our course, our Sandbox subject, we're going to import that. So we want to select the blue button on the right, which is import. And we want to go and find that actual Sandbox course. And because we labeled it Sandbox, we can easily see it. Now you do have options to import that into multiple courses there, as you see, but we're concentrating on that Sandbox right now. So down underneath there, we've selected Jacob's Kindergarten Sandbox. We are going to click on the blue button that says Import into Course. You will get a green notification that says you have successfully started the import. And it may take a couple of seconds for you to see changes in your course. Miss Stephanie, if your let's see, what was your school? K-5. You should be able to use this because we pushed over your courses. So yes, your whole school is actually using it, Miss Stephanie. So if you have courses in Power School, you should be able to see this on your screen. Okay. Now, you got the green notification that said that it may take a few seconds for us to be able to see it inside of that actual course itself. So here we're going to go back to our little house on the left-hand side. You should be able to scroll down and actually find that Jacob's Kindergarten Sandbox. If I open that up, I see now it is not empty on my home page. I'm giving it a second to catch up. Now it has a template inside of there. You do have the capability of publishing that actual course here on the right-hand side. So it would then move from unpublished to published courses. So it's listed at the top for you on your homeroom page, okay? It does turn green to let you know that it is published. So inside of here, you have your editing rights. This would be Crystal's, technically her home page, where she has editing rights to go in and edit what she wants to put on that home page and create it. But remember, you're the only one inside of this Sandbox. So you can put whatever you want it to say inside of there as your template at the top. And we're going to go over this part as well and talk about it a little bit more. As far as anything else in this area, just know that you have editing rights to fix it. The most important thing you're going to do is add your resources in here and copy them over to the specific subject that it needs to go into, okay? So we're going to transition over to what an actual sandbox would look like, and talk to you a little bit about what is inside of a course that we need to make sure you're inside of. So we designed our elementary teacher sandbox. This is what we did when we edited our page. And you can put it whatever you want to. Where you're going to spend most of your time, guys, is under the modules tab. This is the area for my K2 people. My 3-5 should already understand what modules is or what they are. Modules technically are our units or our themes. We're basing those modules upon the aligning it with the Public Schools of Robeson County Pacing Guide. And here's an example of what our modules look like. So if we were breaking it down by our English language arts, our math, you can go in and put the information inside of each module and then just copy it over to the specific subject that you want it to be in whenever you are wanting your students to see it. You can never link this to Gradebook inside of PowerTeacher Pro. So any manual subject that you ever create, you will not be able to ever link it to PowerTeacher Pro. Now, this is just an example of what that looks like. So I know your brain is like on overload. So let's talk about, okay, how will I learn how to edit that template that I just put in my sandbox? So let's go into the actual course that we are going to provide you a link for to self-enroll. The course here, what we're going to do inside of that course is we are going to provide you a module on how to edit your modules, your home page, and anything else that deals with that actual template itself, okay? I see that several of you are in the new to PSRC. If you're interested in that, especially our K2 people, you may want to take a look at that course. We did send that link to your principals. Before I turn it back over to Lisa, I do want to go over a couple of things that we're going to do tomorrow. We're going to start looking at the homeroom page, which is the hub. We're going to look at our subject cards that we have there. We're going to talk about banners for each one of those subjects. We're going to look at our activity period, our activity block, our homeroom, which will technically be the hub for all of our subjects. And we're just going to break that down and go as far as we can with the time that we do have. So I'm going to turn it back over to Lisa at this point, and she's going to go over the link for the self-enrollment into the Canvas course. Thank you, guys.
So as we were just talking about the Canvas LMS for elementary teachers, Cole is going to put the self-enrollment link in the chat, and it's going to look like this right here on the my published courses. It will say Canvas LMS for elementary teachers, grades K, 4, 5. And when you click on the link that's from your chat, it will automatically self-enroll you into this course. This course, I'm going to pull up on the dashboard, is going to give you, just like you saw before in your sandbox, this will give you a nice introductory to the Canvas LMS, but all of your information from this week and throughout the rest of the school year will be housed here for you. So today's session is here, what we've gone over, and as you need to review, replay recordings, just honestly totally forgot something and therefore you want to refresh it so that you're ready to roll, is all going to be sitting in each of these sessions for you to review at any time.
Let me add this part. I need for these schools to listen to me a second. Miss Keisha, I'm thinking that you're at one of these schools. If you're at Deep Branch K-5, if you're at Littlefield 4th and 5th grade, if you're at Magnolia K-4, Oxendine K-4, Parkton K-4, Piney Grove K-4, Prospect K-4, Townsend K-4, Union Chapel K-4, and Union K-4. I need you to give us a little bit of time because your courses have not been switched to elementary. They had a glitch last week with our courses for elementary teachers, and they just fixed it Thursday of last week. So if the reason why you do not have your stuff is because you go up to like a K6 or a 4-8 or a K8 school, and we've had to separate you guys out and pull you away from those other grade levels. And the courses are not accurate for you guys yet. They should be by tomorrow. Okay, don't hold me to that. But with all things being done, we're working as fast as we can. Those schools are not going to see the elementary look right now. So Miss Keisha, when you're asking me creating your course, do you make it private or public? I already know that you're at one of those schools because it shouldn't ask you for private or public. Miss Keisha, can you answer me where you are in the chat? Can you just put where you're from? So just give us till this afternoon in the morning. By the time we get on our call at 10:30, we should be good with those schools. Our other schools, the rest of you guys should be good. East Robinson, for example, you're a K3. We were able to push all of your people. Fairgrove, Carroll, Long Branch, Pembroke Elementary, Peterson, Rex, Rosenwald, Roland Norman, St. Paul's Elementary, Tanglewood, and Knuckles. You guys should be set with the elementary side. If you do not see elementary, you need to contact us. I'm going to talk about the questionnaire.
Mm-hmm. So lastly, as we finish up today's session, inside the chat, there will be a Google form, a questions form for you to fill out. So as you start digging into this material, as you have questions that spur and come up, this form is there and it goes directly to Stephanie, Cole, and myself, where we'll be checking it daily to answer those questions. And if we need to go one step further to Google Meet or to have a bunch of you go through that process again, whatever it is, we're here for you. So if you have questions at the end of today, something came up, the next day you're like, oh wait, how do I go about doing that? Google form for questions is there for you. It's that helpline. As we all work 24/7 getting our school year ready, it is there. So please save that link, or just know that it's inside your Canvas LMS for elementary teachers course that you've self-enrolled in. That Google form will be there as well. So as we finish up and bring a conclusion to our session today, we hope to see you tomorrow in session 2, starting at 10:30. Again, all the sessions will be recorded, and then do not forget to subscribe to the Digital Teaching and Learning YouTube Live link that's in the chat as well. I hope you guys have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you here tomorrow.